Greetings and welcome back to Cardano Coin, where you can find the most latest and fascinating ADA news. You can enter to win 1000 ADA by watching the entire video, upvoting, subscribing, and leaving a comment that says Cardano is king. The winners will be chosen the following month and announced on the channel's community page. How much Bitcoin costs Cardano and other cryptocurrencies have plummeted, unleashing a carnage that has erased more than $2 trillion from the total cryptocurrency market, caused a wave of bankruptcies, and resulted in massive layoffs. Major initiatives like the Terra stablecoin and its companion coin Luna are also affected by the collapse. Cardano has thus far been among the worst hit assets, but it appears that the storm has only just begun for Cardano, as Michael Saylor recently revealed some crazy information regarding it. It is what? You discover out. Make sure to watch this video all the way through. Michael Saylor, co-founder, CEO, and chairman of the Nasdaq intelligence firm MicroStrategy, has now shared his opinions on Cardano. He declared that he thinks Cardano ADA is secure. Additionally, it is important to note that MicroStrategy has made it a top priority to purchase enormous quantities of Bitcoin. As a principal treasury reserve asset, the business paid $250 million for around 21,454 Bitcoins in August of 2020. He stated at the time that a confluence of macro factors affecting the business and economic landscape that we believe to be creating long-term risk for our corporate treasury programs, risks that should be addressed proactively, were part of what motivated our decision to invest in Bitcoin at this time. Since then, the business has kept buying more Bitcoin, to the point where the CEO has turned into a maximalist Bitcoin investor. MicroStrategy thinks that the June 29th Bitcoin purchase that Saylor tweeted about shows that the company is hoarding around 129,699 Bitcoins. Saylor has also been extolling the virtues of the company's shares ever since he made his first Bitcoin transaction. He recently shared his thoughts on proof-of-stake networks on YouTube. According to Bitcoin maximalists, proof-of-stake networks are securities, making them extremely dangerous. He was cited as saying, "In my view, Bitcoin is a digital good. I believe that all proof-of-stake networks are hazardous and securities. The regulators will make the decision regarding whether or not to permit them to continue." He gave the grounds for the claim that the token is a liability if it is not a commodity in an interview with Altcoin Daily. Fundamentally, the question is whether you can establish your network as a commodity network. To qualify as a commodity network, there must be no issuer, no initial coin offering, and no central organization, and if you look at Cardano's history, it is pretty clear that it is a security. As a Bitcoin maximalist, he is in no position to argue that it is anything other than a security. Investors have reportedly been persuaded by Saylor that purchasing Bitcoin is preferable to investing in conventional assets like equities, bonds, and gold. He claims that people who favor sound money lose 98% of their wealth over the course of 5 years because they opted for gold rather than Bitcoin. But is Saylor's report on Bitcoin accurate, or is he merely attempting to give Bitcoin complete market dominance? If that turns out to be untrue, then Saylor's obsession with Bitcoin is rather extreme. As usual, Charles Hoskinson will not remain silent in response to Michael Saylor's claims that the Americans with Disabilities Act is a security measure. During an AMA session on July 15th, Hoskinson compared the present market situation to a tone vase, and the general crypto community base gained prominence by labeling any digital asset other than Bitcoin as a scam. He said that several of his assertions and vase perspective have been accepted by Saylor. The creator of Cardano claims that ADA is a more decentralized cryptocurrency than Bitcoin. Additionally, he claimed that Cardano delivers greater utility than Bitcoin. How straightforward it is that the main purpose of Bitcoin is to act as a store of value. You said that those who purchased ADA weren't just speculating like many Bitcoin investors, but rather were using the token to support various projects. He was perplexed by Saylor's determination to classify Bitcoin as a security despite the fact that another cryptocurrency asset has greater uses than Bitcoin. Since Bitcoin maximalists are the most challenging, harmful, and pointless people to interact with, Charles Hoskinson wrote that talking with Saylors about ADA would be pointless. He cautioned the Saylor that his company might go out of business if Bitcoin fails to regain its former prominence, but that digital assets that have undergone initial coin offerings and hard forks may ultimately prove profitable. Saylor thinks that while those who have made at least a $100 investment in Bitcoin may attest to its legitimacy, others shouldn't have any opinions on it. He argues that once one understands Bitcoin's fundamentals and how challenging it would be to develop anything better, its volatility is meaningless. In a way, Cardano at the Investors needs to take a lesson from him on this. As a result of Bitcoin's decline from its all-time high of 69,000 last fall, MicroStrategy, which owns roughly 129,000 Bitcoins, has seen paper losses of over $1 billion. However, the business software provider has refused, therefore we are here to stay. Bitcoin will outlive every one of us. He stated that we are seeing the birth of a new industry in an interview with CNN. He said that thousands of oil and automobile companies were founded more than a century ago, but the majority of them failed. 99% of them went bankrupt. But what follows is history. We have cars, and the oil industry is a massive industry that has altered the course of human history. One of the biggest public owners of the asset has been MicroStrategy. He increased his stock of tokens early this year by borrowing more than $200 million from a crypto lending bank, increasing his total Bitcoin holdings to almost $6 billion. But as Bitcoin-related losses mounted, the company's stock price dropped by about 70% since the start of the year and by roughly 16% since then. Only $171 was lost in the last month. We intend to stay for the long run. A Saylor told CNN that it is unalterable, unbreakable, programmable, and will endure forever. Saylor's tragic narrative is that he has unknowingly turned into a Trojan horse for the crypto industry. When you invest more money than you can afford to lose, this is what occurs. This explains why foolish people believe that Bitcoin is the only commodity, since a true Bitcoin maximalist will always be for Bitcoin and nothing else. However, Charles Hoskinson must protect Cardano at all costs, so they are both standing up for what makes sense to them. Contrary to Michael Saylor, Charles advises using numerous occasions to promote the entire crypto space. According to Hoskinson, the people and governments will be the ones driving blockchain adoption in this emerging and contemporary society. Cardano may theoretically be viewed as a security, but that's only because the testing methods we use are nebulous and out of date. Due to his business structure, Cardano is somewhat comparable to a tech corporation. The ICO is also a big problem. However, one could counter that the Howey test was developed in a time when there was no such thing as security-like assets, which could also be used as a medium of trade. In contrast to Cardano, Bitcoin does not additionally bear the additional pressure of being seen as a tech firm. Although it lacks a conventional company structure and was not founded by an ICO, Bitcoin has added components to its network that are centralizing. A project based on the Cardano network makes its choices from the Cardano team, hence it is not quite as decentralized as Cardano. The cool kids will have to ask you to sit with them before Bitcoin. When Charles Hoskinson referred to Bitcoin maximalists as the most unpleasant, toxic, and pointless people to interact with, he was not mistaken. Bitcoin maximalists lack intellectual integrity and occasionally even have hallucinations. For instance, when they believe that NATO could be defeated with hard currency. When you claim that Cardano is used more for speculative purposes than Bitcoin, Hoskinson is not being entirely honest. Although it is true that historically Bitcoin has primarily been utilized as a speculative tool, this does not entail, as Hoskinson contends, that Bitcoin has no real-world use. This entire discussion is just the pot calling the kettle black, as Cardano has stated. It is financially and legally advantageous for Cardano and Bitcoin to make their cases, but it is not intellectually honest to choose one over the other. Until the SEC or the CFTC provides a current definition of what a securities offering is, every argument on one side will be full of baseless points because the concept of what a security means is so vast. Arguments about what is or isn't are pointless. You will avoid needless anxiety and fear by doing this. Additionally, it's simply not a good idea to bet against Cardano right now, particularly during current market slump. However, as always, what do you think and feel about this? Tell us about it in the space provided below. Check to see if you've clicked the subscribe and bell buttons.